My name's Mike Ormesher. I'm the Technical Director for Knauf Insulation Northern Europe, which covers the UK, Ireland and the 4 Nordic countries. Quite a patch. And Chris, thank you Chris for inviting me to talk today. I'm not sure why, but you know, I usually do at least 2 hours on each of these topics that I'm going to talk about, so I'm a bit freaked out. I've got 2 slides on each, but Chris has asked me to talk a little bit about research, innovation and sustainability at Knauf Insulation, what that actually means. It means many, many things to us as an organisation, so it's sometimes very difficult for us to get our sustainability messages across. We think they're obvious, some people don't see them as obvious, but we have quite a journey in the 15 years we've been in this business. Just a little bit about the business. We are quite a large business now. It's a family-owned company. It is owned by 2 brothers, and it started from pretty much nothing to just over 8 billion euros in not so much time. So it's been a massive growth, and the problem with the business is it's growing very, very quickly, trying to keep up with all of the different the speed of growth. 6,000 employees, 60 countries, and we have quite a wide spread across Europe and in the States as well. Our main background is manufacturing insulation and plaster materials. That's where we started. Plaster being the first product, but we manufacture glass mineral wool, a rock mineral wool, and also foams as well. But we also manufacture things like wood wool and steel frame systems. We make machinery, and we also have a vineyard in Tuscany, which is very strange, but it is right next door to one of our plants, so it's a very good corporate entertainment asset.
The wine's quite a nice one.
The wine is number 3 in Italy, by the way, so it's not just a random purchase. When you've got that much money, you can do lots of things. Which means that we're pretty fleet of foot. We can move, we can develop it into new areas, and we can innovate quite quickly. We don't have a big PLC mentality. So very quickly, 3 areas: the research and development, regulation, standardisation. What does that mean to us? And partnerships. And that's what Knauf prides itself on, partnerships, like Leeds, Beckett and other universities across the world. We work with Salford, we work with Leuven in Belgium. We have quite a massive network of key people. And 3 years ago, we set up a conference ourselves in Carcassonne in France, 3 days inviting the world leaders of building physics. And that gave us really good insight into how we can plan our future going forward, because for Knauf Insulation, it's about data. It's about understanding how buildings work, where the future markets are, and how we can change our technologies, or indeed get rid of what we do and start again. Because the chief executive has set us a strapline of world leader in energy efficient systems for buildings. That's a massive jump from making insulation and plasterboard to that position, so it's going to be an exciting journey. Very quickly into research and development, we have quite a large research team, over 120 staff now in our research and development laboratories. Not all of these are in my team, I wish they were, but they're all in my team. We're spread across the world, but we have a very good network within our research and development teams. And we innovate. We sometimes reinvent the wheel. That happens in organisations like ours, but we are pretty good in terms of building physics and understanding how buildings work, working with people like Leeds, Beckett and Salford and people like that. We do an awful lot of work in process technology, understanding how our materials work, composition of the glass and things like that. We have a massive team. So we have, I think, at the last count, something like 8,000 patents on our technologies, which is quite something. We think we have a very good sustainable position. If you look at the product itself, looking at glass insulation, we use up to 86% recycled cullet, which is crushed glass. We are the largest user of recycled glass in the UK. And then we just put sand in it and a few other bits and pieces like borax to melt the glass. So it's a pretty good product in terms of its sustainability. And we make lots of insulations which then save energy. So it's a pretty good position to start from, and you can actually become quite complacent. Some of the people think, hey, we've done our job, that's sustainability done. But for me personally, and lots of my colleagues, sustainability means so much more. And there's some of the products that we manufacture. Just to give you an idea of when we have an idea, just how long it can take, 5% of the product in this product here is a binder to bind the fibres together. And it was made from phenol formaldehyde, and most manufacturers make it from this product. We spent 12 years changing it to a dextrose-based product, and that took £500 million worth of investment, because when you change something as simple as that, all of the pipework in the factories need to be stripped out and changed. They all have to become stainless steel. All of the mixing stations have to be changed. £500 million, 12 years, just to change the binder in the product. So it's quite an investment. Sorry, I missed that bit there. So that then led to things like indoor air comfort quality. We were the first to achieve the Eurofins Gold, and you get spin-offs from that sort of investment, but it's still a big investment to get a badge like this. So what does sustainability mean? How do we sell that? We don't know. What we do like to do is we like to share the data and share the intelligence from the organisation. So BIM has always been an exciting thing for us. BIM for Manufacturing, we were a founder member of that. I was on the IFC 2000 team in 1998 trying to get BIM into the UK as well as other countries. And it's been a long journey. I think we're getting there now. But for us, BIM is a really exciting concept because we can build all of our intelligence and our information into objects that designers can use. And the sustainability journey for us is really important. So BIM is quite exciting for us now. Okay, so just moving into a little bit of regulation, standardization and certification. Big topic. We are involved in most of the movements around the world in certification, standardization. We chair lots of organizations, TC89, we were on Annex 58, we sponsored that. So we do get around, and we collaborate with lots of organizations to understand what's coming forward, to affect what's coming forward, and then to be able to develop with those things in mind. EPDs, for instance, environmental performance declarations, may not mean an awful lot to some people, but for some people it's really important. We can put all of our data into here. We were the first to do this in the UK. We were the first to do it in Europe. So you can see number 1, number 2, number 3 on Eco Platform. That allows us to share our information. The sustainability journey of the product goes into these types of documents, and we share that. And we thought that was it in terms of environmental performance. But it does get more complicated than that. In the Nordics, for instance, they see that as a very basic starting point. EPD data, thank you very much. Now give us your health and safety data. Now give us your information around what you do with the product, your innovations, your patents. And these databases are growing and growing and growing. So actually, some of these organizations know more about our products than we do, because they're collating the data from all over the world and building these really big databases of information. Not so more than Google. We found Google have more information about our technologies than most of our technical directors around the countries. You know, they're collating all of this information, they're collating all of the BIM information, the EPD data, stuff from our websites. They have intelligent algorithms going searching for information. They're putting it into healthy materials. They're sharing that with American companies on Pharos. So it's also something you have to watch as well. You know, how much information do you share? So the sustainability journey, fantastic. We can share all this information, but how do we control it? Just to give you some idea of collaboration, and this was a project that we did with Leeds Beckett under MEMA, the Mineral Wool Insulation Manufacturers Association. We started a project, a research project, looking at co-heating in buildings, and Malcolm Bell was driving this as well as Chris. And then we identified issues around party walls, so we were getting pluming and movement of heat through the party walls, which we didn't really understand. And somebody told me that we were losing more heat through the party wall than we were from the total perimeter of the house, which is quite strange. But we were able to take this with the partners, with our experience, with our networking, with our public affairs people, take it into government and get it put into regulation, into legislation, into policy. So it went into Green Deal, Eco, building regulations. So we're pretty confident that we can get the message across if we work with the right partners. And this is a prime example of how that worked. I'm sure Malcolm and others will be talking a bit more about building performance. So just focusing on the relationship side of things, we work again with lots of organisations. Some you will know, some you may not. Even things like, you know, registered social landlords, RSLs, I couldn't get the words out. BBA, the certification board, obviously Leeds Beckett, and government. So we do have really good networks. We even have secondments in some of these organisations. We're on the Treasury for the Green Deal Finance Board, etc. And that sometimes means a lot of investment from our resource. This is my boss, John Sinfield, Group Managing Director for Northern Europe. He's now the chair of the Construction Products Association. just to try and get the messages across of what's needed in our industry, in the manufacturing industry, because it is an intelligent industry. It does have good people. We work together with our competitors. We don't always fight. We do lots of research with academia. We work with other partners, but sometimes those messages get lost. And when you go forward as an organisation like Knauf and say, hey, look at this, look what we've done, you don't get listened to. And what we're really proud of, and this is something that we did with Leeds Beckett, is getting an innovation officer at government to understand and to listen to what we're doing as an industry. And that's great. And we work with other organisations and on ambassador schemes, and this one here, we developed a project called, or a methodology called Pay As You Save, which turned into the Green Deal, and we not sure I should be proud of that, but we are making that better as we go forward. And we have got other tools in place now to make these things better than they have been, looking at how we protect the consumer, and this is something I'll talk about in a second. Here's an example of what we did in Westminster a couple of months ago. We have a good collaboration in the States with local authorities, and we have specialists over there that look at each local authority, what they're doing on spending on energy efficiency with the local communities. And we decided to try this out in the UK by looking at what the local authorities were spending, assessing with some really complex methodologies just how impactful that was. And we came up with a league table. Excuse me. We then quite cautiously went into Westminster and said, hey, look at this, what do you think of this? Shall we invite people to come and talk about it? It was a bit nervous at first because we didn't know what people were going to say about a league table. We didn't know whether we were going to get ousted for doing this. But this has evolved into a massive network now where other local authorities are talking and networking, looking at what they're doing and how they can improve. And that's been a massive success for us. And this is from a manufacturer. Something we're working on with Leeds Beckett and also Salford is setting up a building performance network. We are founding members of this. I'm a board director of this, looking at the awareness and understanding of building performance, influencing changes in policy, and expanding the community of practice around building performance as well. This is an exciting development, and we're really pleased to be a part of this because this gives us focus. Rather than spreading our resource and cash around looking at lots of different projects, maybe this is a way to focus it, and that's what we're looking for, it's focus. To get onto these types of organisations, you need to have data and you need to have exciting projects. This is one that we're working with a number of people, and there's a list across the top there you can see. Some big RSLs, BRE, DEC and BBA and Leeds Beckett, etc. And this is about monitoring of properties. We now have just under 100 properties that we've been monitoring for some time. We have millions of bits of data coming out of those properties, looking at the disaggregated data that's coming out, humidity, temperature. We have heat meters on all of the boilers, we have CO2, we have PIRs, and we're doing social science interviews and lots of different things like that. And the idea is that we're comparing the disaggregated data, looking at what that means, you know. Is it the fabric, is it the environment, is it the services, is it the occupancy? Yes, it's all of those things, and 100 things more. So we're disaggregating all of this data, looking at the effect, putting really intelligent algorithms in there, coming back with reports, comparing it with what we actually do in practice, so looking at the models, the prediction gap, how accurate is this versus the prediction gap, how accurate is this versus the performance gap, and then how do we compare that with the models from government. So this is an exciting project that we've got on. It's still going to run till the end of 2017, but we have our first meeting with government in 3 weeks' time, and they're really excited to see the results of this project. And in a nutshell, that really is how we work as an organisation. So thank you very much for listening.